So hello everyone, this is my very first video with my voice on it, so I hope you like it. As I told you in my previous video in the intro, which I will left you in the info box, I'm not from the USA, neither from the UK, so I might have some mistakes in the way of talk or to pronounce. Please be patient with me since I'm practicing. So here I got my very first gameplay from the 3DS, which is Hakuouki Memory Saltations Segumi for 3D. This is the very first Otome for 3D which came to Europe, since I'm from Spain, which is in Europe, for everyone to know it. And I'm gonna start. There's an anime of this game, and I do really recommend you. You can find it in YouTube, I guess, and you can also find it in every pages of anime online. So I hope you like it, and let's begin. Okay, we have to put again, but I will left you the name of Chisuyu, since I don't want any problems with the pronunciation or the game settings. This is a work of fiction, but some elements draw inspiration from certain historical figures and events. Prologue. January 1864. So this is Kyoto. It was awfully impressive. There was no denying. Even the simple hellos between people passing in the street seemed warm and friendly. They nod and smiled to one another almost as if they were family, not strangers about on errands. Still, there was something else as well, something that made the city feel strangely cold, almost as though there was a great invisible wall shutting out anyone who wandered from the country. It wasn't particularly comfortable, I had to admit. No, that's all in my head. Okay, we're talking about alone in Kyoto. I had walked some quite distance to reach Kyoto, and it occurred to me that my mind and body were both very tired. Even so, tiredness was no reason for me to stand about feeling sorry for myself. I couldn't afford to, after all. Excuse me. With new availed forcible resolve, I tried to stop a passerby. I'm sorry, but I seem to be a bit lost. Could you... Okay, something happened. What am I supposed to do now? I was lost again, but in a different sort of way. I sighed and found myself looking up at the darkened sky. The sun was beginning to set. The people had spoken to hadn't been unkind, and they had given me the direction I had need, but couldn't he have chosen a better time to leave the city? Apart from my father, there was only one person in the city who I could rely on, Dr. Matsumoto. Dr. Matsumoto was a doctor in service to the shogunate. Sorry. I had never met him myself, but my father put a great deal of trust in the man. He had told me that if I should run into any trouble during his absence, I was to contact Dr. Matsumoto. Unfortunately, Dr. Matsumoto was apparently out of town on business and would not return for some time. Was I too hasty? Perhaps I should have waited. True, it's rather rude to visit unannounced, which was why I was sent a letter ahead of me. Of course, if he had been gone for very long, then he had almost certainly read my letter. Perhaps, I thought, I should have waited for a reply before traveling alone to a city I had never seen. But, no, I knew I could not have waited any longer. Chisuyu, is something wrong, father? He paused for a moment and looked at me. Okay, so when the characters talk in Japanese, I won't talk because I think it's more special to hear them talk in Japanese. You can also read the subtitles. Work again? He had been leaving the house often then, sometimes for days at a time. How long will you be gone?
それはわからん。一月になるか、二月になるか。
Oh, there was no hiding my disappointment. Nothing less. I wasn't a child anymore. I couldn't beg him not to go or some other foolishness. Yes, I would be lonely, but I was much more worried for him. Please, father, be careful. They say that the city of Kyoto is dangerous. He only smiled and nodded.
安心しなさい。お前が心配しないように、今日にいる間はできる限り手紙を書くよ。
Okay, you promise? Father kept his promise. A new letter arrived every day, and I scarcely had the time to respond before another would arrive. He told me that he worried about me, home all by myself. Then the letters stopped. Oh man. A whole month passed with no word from my father, and I began to worry. Father, they say Kyoto is full of running. It's not a safe place. Usually, a samurai is paid by their house, but running with no house to report to often rob people in order to make ends meet. They are nothing more than violent criminals who hide behind the image of the samurai. Such is the state of the city of Kyoto, the city of running. Small wonder then that I worried for my father's safety. My mind would concoct horrible possibilities if I inevitably found myself depressed by things. First, I suppose I need to find a place to stay. Lost in thought, I hadn't realized that night had already fallen. If I was honest with myself, I hadn't the first idea how long it might take to find my father. I had taken some money with me, but it wasn't much. Enough to last me a month, I hoped, if I used it wisely. If I could find father in that time, so much the better. If not, hopefully Dr. Matsumoto will return before my funds run out. Should I be unable to find either of them, then it seems I will be forced to return home. Well, at any rate, I should try and be as frugal as possible. And so I let my stride and set off down the street. Fortunately for me, men's clothing was much more conducive to such a place than my usual dress would have been. Okay, so we're dressing like a boy, just like in the anime. I had decided early that Kyoto was far too dangerous for a girl from the country to explore alone, and that it would be wise for me to dress like a man, or at least a boy. My disguise, such as it was, had proven successfully, and I had made it all the way to Kyoto unmolested. Perhaps that success had gone to my head and let me think a girl dressed as a boy could explore Kyoto as she pleased. But Kyoto is not a safe place. I should have remembered that. Instead, I had somehow convinced myself that whatever dangers the city hid didn't apply on me. I was about to discover otherwise. Okay, so here starts the problem. I spun around. In the street in front of me were 3 men running. Can I help you? I did my best to keep my voice as calm as I reached in what I felt was a nonchalant way for my Kodachi. My father had made me take lessons in self-defense. I had kept with me and actually done rather well. My skill was enough to defend against most attacks. Then again, perhaps it was my confidence in my skill that had put me in this situation in the first place. I had messed up and let my guard down. My fault. There was a chance I could take them on and win, but there were 3 of them and 1 of me. Only then did I realize they were far more interested in my sword than they were in mine. Yeah, you are dressing like a boy, what do you expect? But the sword wasn't just some blade I had picked up. It had been passed down through my family for generations. There was no way I could give it to the Ronin. Unfortunately, I had a feeling they wouldn't understand. In such a situation, the best decision was, undoubtedly, to retreat. And so I turned and ran as fast as my leg could carry me. Hey, get back here. Oh, sorry. Gosh, they sure don't give up easily, do they? I felt like I had running for quite a while, but I could still hear the running behind me, cursing loudly. I ducked into an alley and flattened myself against a wall. After deciding they weren't too close, I crept further into the alley. Someone had left a couple sheets of wood leaning against one of the houses. It was perfect spot to hide. With luck, I thought as I knelt down to the shuffle under them, this will get me out of the mess. Huh? Something was wrong. I had expected to hear the running yelling to each other, looking for me, but seconds turned into minutes, and I heard nothing. I was about to sneak out and have a look when they began to scream. What? My plan to investigate was immediately halted. Remaining silent and hiding was clearly more important. Still, it was then that true fear began to set in. There was something out there, something very, very dangerous, something quite possibly lethal. The possibilities were, well, my imagination conjured up no shortage of gruesome theories. Even so, I couldn't feel that itch of curiosity. I could feel that itch of curiosity. I wanted to know what was out there. Slowly, carefully, I ended up to the corner and looked up. Cold moonlight glared back at me from the bare blade of a drawn sword. My eyes followed the blade up to the arm that held it, clad in the coat of light blue. Had this person saved me? But no sooner had it appeared that hope was dashed. Okay, that was a little scary. I have to say that this game might contain violence and explicit content, but are not rated 18, so don't worry. It's I guess R16, but I played before and I don't see that there was that much of the content, so you can watch it under your responsibility. Thank you. I could hear the running beg for his life as he stumbled back. The person in the blue coat said nothing, just stepped forward, his sword raised. A high screeching loud cut through the man's scream. The blade fell through the air, more like a battered cleaver than a sword. No technique, no skill, just dead. The scream turned suddenly wet, caught and disappeared like an air waving, leaving a half-empty billows. My eyes went wide. I had just watched a murder. Whatever straight adrenaline had given me was suddenly gone. My legs gave way and I crumpled to the ground. My eyes had gone so wide I thought they might never close. The running had died with the first blow, but as I watched the blades keep falling, carving deep slime into the corpse. Okay, if I watch this I will probably scream or run, just don't stay there and look. The soft slip of blade through the flesh, the crack as it stopped on, the silent creep of blood across the ground. I felt nothing from them but madness. Their only desire was raw, animal violence. Whatever they were, it wasn't human. They were broken. I could feel my throat closing up. I couldn't breathe. A warm dark smell bruised against my face. It took me a moment to recognize the corporeal tank of blood. An icy bolt of fear ran down my spine, crawling his way out into my limbs and freezing me in place. I was terrified. What was I going to do? What could I do? You have to run, Chizuru. Okay, she's talking to herself. I forced my jaw open and drew a ragged breath. This was the only chance I could get. I had to... Ah! Okay, has she fallen? But my body, still numb with fear, was less than responsibility. I lurched sideways into the wood stacker against the building. With a rod cutter, it collapsed. Okay, that's a little scary. The creatures turned, their blue coats stretching in blood. Hideous grins split their inhuman faces, and they shook an animal excited at finding fresh prey to slaughter. I had to run. I couldn't die yet, but my legs refused to move. That hideous crackling louder began again. I was going to die. Okay guys, so let's just stop here. I will be uploading the Hakuouki, sorry, once a week, or you can let me in the comments if you want more of O's Mafia or other games, and I will try to bring it up to the channel. Please don't forget to subscribe and thumbs up for more. See you in the next video.